Now, this isn't at risk of becoming the next great philosophical debate for our society as a whole, but when it comes to tax preparation, this question does come up a lot, and that's, should I work with a CPA or an EA? Now, you might be wondering, what the heck are you even talking about? CPA, Certified Public Accountant. This is one of the most recognized and most trusted designations in the professional services world. It's been around for decades, and it commonly is associated with, if you're a CPA, you do taxes. When in reality, there are a whole lot of things that CPAs do. An EA, an enrolled agent, is a designation specific to the IRS, specific to tax preparation, tax advice, tax representation, all things tax. That is all it relates to, is taxes. And so when I look at who should I have prepare my taxes, like so many things we talk about tax related, it depends on your situation. For me, I don't actually care which one of these licenses a person has. When I hire people on my team, when I look for people that I want to work with, for people's opinions that I want to trust, which of these designations a person has doesn't make a difference to me. I do want them to have a license. This is a very technical area. This is an area that constantly changes and evolves. It is complex, and so it does give me it's encouraging to me. It gives me some validation if a person in this tax world has one of these designations. But here's why I don't care which one of them they have. At the end of the day, these are both minimum requirements. There is a test that goes with them for the CPA. There's an education requirement. There's some experience that's expected, but this is the entry point. This is a minimum requirement. This doesn't tell me, do they have 1 year of experience or 30 years of experience. This doesn't tell me, have they worked with other people like me. And so while we want to understand if the professionals that we work with are licensed, don't get hung up on which license they have. Start asking those questions. You can start with, hey, do you work with other people like me? And you need to understand your situation enough to be able to know what people like you look like when it comes to tax questions. CPAs will work on things like audits, like financial statements, all these other broad categories that makes it so that we can't just assume that a CPA has extensive tax knowledge. So at your next family holiday, if your uncle or aunt or cousin is a CPA, don't assume that they can help you with taxes. Now, if they're an enrolled agent, it's probably more likely that they've got some tax background, but you still need to understand, do they have experience with the type of help that you need? And at the end of the day, when it comes to individuals working on taxes, we also need to ask the question of, should I just do this myself? Software is getting more and more advanced. Things like TurboTax and H&R Block provide great tools for people with simple situations and people who are willing to commit the time to understand their situation enough to get it across the finish line. And this can change over time. Your answer 1 year might be, hey, you know what? I've got this. I'm going to do it myself. And then the next year, things could change. Your income could get more complicated. The different types of income that you have, your family situation, where you're living, the fact that you're involved in a business or not, all these things could change. Retiring would be another one that adds some complexity to our tax life. That might prompt us to say, hey, it's time to work with a professional. And as I've said, when we get to that point, I'm not concerned about which of these licenses they have. I do want to work with a licensed professional, because if I'm not going to work with a licensed professional, may as well go back to DIYing. But I'm going to understand the types of experience that you have, the depth of experience that you have, the resources you have access to help me when complicated things come up, or when tax laws change, which seems to be all the rage these days of, hey, let's change all the tax rules. Then you've got to ask who on my team is going to help me understand how these changes impact me. That might be you. You might have committed to being a DIYer and saying, I'm going to navigate these changes. I'm going to use the tools available to me, and that might work just fine. For even potentially for an extended period of time. I meet a lot of DIYers doing great work. But when you get to that complexity level, or you just don't want to have to worry about it anymore, it's very possible that you could do this on your own and you're ready to just hand it to someone else. Don't get hung up on CPA versus EA. Find someone who's licensed and has experience helping people like you. Happy tax planning.